The only way out is through. One of my favorite quotes and reminders. You must get through the hard work. You must get through the issue. You must get through your fear. You must get through your shame. You've got to go through to come out on the other side. And we all have a this side and a that side.
You're listening to the Long Game Podcast with Sandra Scaiano. In a world where everyone is doing, it's easy to get lost in a sea of comparison, secret tricks, and promises of overnight success. The long game is my approach to business. The actual day in and day out philosophy that you have to show up, you have to do the work, and there's no quick fixes for long-term success. I'm a web designer, digital strategist, and energetic thinker, and I'm here to share the process and lessons I experience with my clients daily who are going through the same struggles of building a business as you are. We'll hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their long game strategies, and I'm fun, so we're going to have a little fun along the way too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to today's episode.
The only way out is through. I love this quote as a reminder. My old friend and artist Jeffrey Gibson, he's created this beautiful beaded piece of this quote. His work features Native American beading techniques and poignant messages. And his The Only Way Out is Through piece is truly #fine art ownership goals for me. And I'll link to the work in the show notes. What I love about this quote is its truth. When working, sometimes design projects are tough. Design is something you can learn, but so much of it is also intuitive, like being brought forward from the designer to each project. It can be like writer's block when you aren't in the flow, but you have to keep going. You have to push through. And I mean, you just can't not do the work, and you have to see the commitment through. And as business owners, there's so many times where we need to go through. The whole concept of long game thinking is about carrying on. We need that process when we're stuck. We need the reminder that the only way out is through so that we can take the next step. It's like what we talked about in last week's episode of Niching Down. You need to go through your thought process and your trials and errors to realize that niching down is really opening up. You can be told to niche down, as I suggest to many, but until you've gone through the mental process and start to see the results that you get from focusing on a smaller audience, you're not all the way through. And it's one of the toughest battles I have with clients. And going through that realization, that can take some time. So I was visiting with some family this past weekend, and we were talking, having those inner story and emotion talks that, only family can share. I mean, who was there when, 40 years ago? And I realized that some things we were talking about were actually unworked hurts and shame. That you can see someone as strong and as a survivor overall, but they can have things that they've held on to for years. And it reinforced this notion that the only way out is through. Because if you don't go through, it's 10 years, 30 years later, and you still have fear and you still have shame. And those are feelings that hold us back. They hold us back in our daily lives, and they hold us back when we're trying to do good work because those feelings sneak in at different times. And if you haven't worked through them, they try and derail you. You can be in the middle of something creative and moving forward, yet fear, shame, and not good enough feelings can creep back in. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs who are hard on themselves, and they're not happy with where they're at, with what they've built currently, or they're unsure of what to do to grow. Those are some heady weights to be carrying around. How do you get through? How do you come out on the other side? The short answer? Those are individual questions. And I hate giving that response. For some, it's keep working. For some, it's take a break. It's all the things we talk about here in the long game. It's rest. It's listening. It's relationships. It's showing up. It's doing the work. It's taking a stand for something. That's how you get on the other side. Where do you get inspiration from? From listening to other stories? From taking a class? From walking in nature? It can be any of those things. But the one thing I can tell you for sure is that going through to out is about keeping moving. It's about knowing you want something different and moving in a direction, any direction. Moving forward, no matter how small the step, helps us move through. When you're moving, there's less idle time to wade in the thoughts, the guilt, the fear that's been holding you back. Forward motion gives you something to focus on that is now. And fear is about what is not now. I love what coaches say. Check in with yourself right now. You are safe in this very moment. So all those other emotions are about what was, which you can't change, or what may be, which hasn't happened yet. And what's so great about out anyway? The only way out is through. What's so great about out? Why do I have to get out? Can't I just be happy being in? You know, you could ask my family that question, and they think they're happy being in. But when you get to those inner family conversations, there's a peek into what the weight of carrying things for so many years does. Out is just a metaphor for a place of freedom. Imagine living for 10, 20, or 30 years carrying fear and guilt and shame. What would that do to you? That would seriously halt your progress in being the best that you can be, in building relationships that can bring you joy, in living the peace that comes from letting your guard down or not having the need to have your guard up. And it would amplify within you if to the outside world you were one thing, but inside you never addressed being stuck. So out is really about not being stuck anymore. Not stuck in a relationship that isn't working, not stuck doing work that isn't fulfilling, not stuck making everyone around you happy. Out is free to think and to create, to make decisions. And the ability to make a decision, that is empowering. Out is lighter. And out is understanding that things happened, but they don't define you. And as women, we carry the weight of our families, the weight of our businesses. I mean, this is why wine is so popular, right? We are up late working. We're on the computer when it's, into the wee hours, or you're up making a costume for Halloween, or cooking for the week so that your family is fed. We carry so much that there needs to be a time where we go through for all the bullshit. The reason I opened my own business was not to have to deal with so much crap that went on in the tall buildings in New York City. So now I apply the concept of the only way out is through to everything. To the creativity I bring to projects, to when I discover a client isn't a good fit anymore, and to how I'm going to scale my business. I'm all about noticing, which is another long game concept, and then applying it. Like I'm continually moving through emotions and situations so that I create the business and life I want to have. And it's not easy. You just have to keep moving forward. I want to live unencumbered or as close to that as I can get having other people in my life. People are complicated. And it starts with moving through so that I'm out and feeling free, so that I'm creatively flowing and enjoying my days. I'm at my best when I'm not worried about whatever that concept, problem, issue is. And so it's crazy to think how you can still be learning from your family after all these years and all you think you know about them. And I want to say thanks to my family for inspiring this episode. I never thought you'd be a part of my business, yet here you are. And do you have an The Only Way Out is Through story? I want to hear it. There's power in numbers and we can support each other. So hop on my website and click the Speak to Me button to share your story, and I will absolutely reply. See you next week.
Thanks for joining me today. You can access more info in the show notes at thelonggamepodcast.net. If today's show connected with you in some way, please share it with your friends or hop on iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, keep playing the long game.